There we go. All right. So welcome to CWU, everyone. My name is Dr. Cindy Bruns. I am the Director of Counseling here at CWU. Also the mom of a former Running Start student who just graduated this past June. And so I am here not to talk just about student counseling services, but to talk about the health and wellness unit as a whole. So we are 5 departments here on campus that are specifically dedicated to the holistic health and well-being of our students at Central, including you all as Running Start students. Health and well-being is the responsibility of everyone that is a part of the CWU community, but we are the ones who are tasked with kind of, I guess, being the front facing of that. So I'm going to talk about the 5 different units and kind of as Running Start students, what you are eligible for in terms of services. As Running Start students, you aren't eligible for all of our services because a lot of them are student fee funded. And as Running Start students, you only pay certain fees and so have access to certain services as a result of that. But should you decide to matriculate with CWU and seek your degree with us in the next couple of years, you would be welcome to access the full suite of services. So the Health and Wellness Unit is made up of student health services, student counseling services, the Office of Health Promotion, case management, and student recreation, university recreation. I'm going to start off with the services that are open to all CWU students, including you as Running Start students. The first is the Office of Health Promotion. They're located in the Student Union and Recreation Center, or the CIRC, up on the 2nd floor in 256. They are really kind of the proactive and preventative arm of health and wellness. So their job is to provide education, provide guidance and policies around how do we as a whole campus and as individuals strive for and promote health in a variety of dimensions. So they really take a public health model. And so as you can see on the slide, there are a number of prevention and training topics that they share with the campus, mostly around substance use, consent and healthy relationships, and violence prevention, relationship violence prevention, and then mental health promotion and self-support strategies. There are also direct services. It's important as Running Start students to know that these services are not necessarily confidential for you if you're under 18. There are certain legal requirements around reporting when you are still a minor that come into play if you seek services. If you're 18 or over, these services are confidential. So if you experience violence of any sort, particularly relationship violence, if you want to have a support for substance recovery, other things like that, if you're concerned about another student and want some consultation about maybe what to do or how to support your friend, Health Promotion can provide all of that to you. So you can see their contact information there. Office of Case Management is also a service that's open to our Running Start students. I like to think of the Office of Case Management as kind of a resource hub for our students. And so they're often the first stop if a student is struggling in some way other than necessarily straight up academic struggles. That's usually your advisor where you might start with that with Angela. But Office of Case Management is about kind of like what's the big picture in terms of resources that could be helpful to you to be successful, not just academically, but overall. Again, that kind of holistic health and well-being model. So they can provide referrals, they can help navigate barriers if you're trying to make progress somewhere and you keep running into barriers, they can help assist with that as well. And then they can let you know what other resources are available to you. So they're a really great support and a really great first stopping point if something is just not going smoothly for you, or some external event in your life is getting in your way and you're not really sure what resources are out there, they're a great resource as well. University Recreation is located in the CIRC. They're the other half of the Student Union and Recreation Center. Depending on the number of credits that you are taking, you might be assessed the recreation fee, in which case then your membership is automatic. If you're not automatically assessed that recreation fee, then you can choose to pay it, and then you are able to use the recreation center. They have a lot of great resources for you. All of the things you might traditionally think of when you think of going to a gym or a rec center. So in terms of weights and machines and cardio and classes and all sorts of things, but also have open gyms and pickup games and intramural sports and a whole lot of things that you can access. So we know that movement and moving in ways that make your body feel good are really good for not just your body, but your mental health as well. It's also a great place to make social connections. So highly encourage you to check them out. Oh, and they have esports. So if you're looking for a reason to play video games and it's legit, and making some connections, you can join the esports team. Student counseling services. So this is my shop. It is one of those services that is student fee funded and not generally available to Running Start students. You can see on the slide sort of what's available to Running Start students versus students who are degree seeking here at Central. We are located in Black Hall, Suite 225-30. And what I want you to know as a Running Start student is, and we say this to all CWU students and faculty and staff as well, honestly, if life gangs up on you and you don't know where to turn, we want you to come and talk to us. We save time in our schedule every day for specific walk-in or same-day appointments or urgent appointments. So if you're really struggling, if you get unexpected news that's upsetting or something really happens and you really need some support, we want you to come and talk to us. We're here Monday through Fridays from 8 to 12 and 1 to 4:30. Because of our funding structure, we are unable to provide ongoing services to our Running Start students, but we will talk with you. We will help you figure out a plan. We'll make sure you're safe and calm down and know next steps. And so please feel free to use us if you need to in that way. Also, if you are concerned, again, as with health promotion, if you're concerned about someone else and their mental health, you're always welcome to seek a consultation with us. We'll talk you through what options there might be, how you might be able to support that person, what resources there might be available for them. And then Student Health Services rounds out the suite of the Health and Wellness Unit. They are just for students who are matriculated or degree seeking, so not eligible as a Running Start student for their services. But we do have a full medical clinic here on campus, including lab and x-ray. So again, if you choose to come to Central for your higher ed degree, know that this is a service that would be available to you as well. And so there are a variety of services available, and really any of the offices, even if you're not available, for ongoing services with them, we are all here to help and support and guide and kind of get you connected in the right direction if we are not the ones who are able to help you. So I'll just wrap up by saying it's really important to take care of your health overall. And I mean that in all the different dimensions, not just intellectually or mentally or physically, but all of those things. Being a student is a whole human endeavor. And we encourage you to find ways to care for yourself as you transition into this new part of your educational pathways. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them in the chat. But welcome to Central, and we wish you a wonderful year.
And if you do have any questions, again, please drop those in the chat. I want to tell you all, a lot of Running Start students access these resources, and One of the big things that I do with students is I make a lot of referrals to case management services. As Cindy mentioned, because you're under 18, not everything is confidential, but I want you to know you don't have to tell me why you need a referral. So if you need to talk to someone, if something is going on, hopefully everything is great. But if something comes up where you feel like you need to talk to someone about it, I care for you. I am not trained in mental health counseling. I have a master's degree in history. So I am happy to listen to you and care for you. But I'm also really happy to make referrals to people who can maybe give you better help. So you can tell me why, but you can also just say, Angela, I want to have a referral, and I can do that for you. They will reach out to you. They will talk with you. So there is not confidentiality per se, but there's a fair amount of it, I would say, in the sense of you don't even have to tell me what's going on. And it doesn't look like we have any questions. If you do have them in the chat later, I can help address them, or we can get you connected with Cindy. But Cindy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. Have a great night, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to turn it over to, I hope I'm pronouncing names correctly because I'm just meeting them for the first time, but Jackie and Kieran from what is your department called? Learning Commons, which is a number of different resources that are going to be really useful for you.
All right, thanks for that. Give me a second here. All right, well, lovely to have you guys all here. So we're from Learning Commons. I'm Kieran Cook, the new PALS coordinator. Coordinator is just Central's fancy word for manager over here. Jackie, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Jackie. I'm a graduate student here at Central, and I've been a mentor for about 2 years now.
Oh, sorry, right, I go first. So the Learning Commons has a whole bunch of different services that we can offer you. We're going to give you some information on all of them. We don't expect you to remember it all. If the only thing that you take away from today that we exist and you know where to find us, I'll be happy. Just starting left to right, we have math tutoring. So this specific part of our math tutoring department is mostly focused on 100-level general education courses. So it's decently limited to what we can offer for that one. There are some of those tutors that can go a little bit above and beyond, and our other departments have some more information there. PALS, Peer Assisted Learning, is a group study group. And so the point of this one is we find historically difficult courses, both just institutionally and the stats wise too. So we find certain courses that have high failure rates or high withdrawal rates. These are the ones that we target. We work really, really closely with the faculty to find the problem points and assess and target those specifically. Now, as I said, it's group led, and so it's not going to be one-on-one tutoring. You can have anywhere from just one other person in there with you up to 20. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Angela. Subject specific is very similar to PALS. However, it is one-on-one tutoring, and it may cover individual subjects, but the range of classes that it covers is a lot broader. And so if you have something that you need to talk to us about that isn't covered by PALS or the math tutoring, subject specific may be the way to go. Writing tutoring is specifically just, it doesn't cover any certain classes or certain subjects. It's any sort of writing medium that you need help on. This is one-on-one tutoring. You can access it asynchronously too. So if you just want something to send in, have somebody look it over, give some edits and send back, that's what writing tutoring is for. E-tutoring, since our hours are a little bit limited, we offer this to try to reach students that can't come in during certain times. It's not always available. There are a couple holidays that it's closed during. I think it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, and it's not open all day long, but it is almost open all day long. Go ahead, Jackie.
All right, and then I'm going to be talking a little bit here about the peer mentoring aspect of this. So peer mentoring basically focuses on the holistic approach of learning how to balance school, work, life, like all the above. And we specialize in helping with skills such as time management, study skills, test taking skills, So yeah, we're ever there if you just need extra support from a peer. We are also embedded in University 101, which I'm not sure if Running Start students have to take, but we do make that transition coming to Central a lot more easier, I would say. So if you're just struggling with a little bit of that transition, we're there for you guys. And then we have our hours here. So the Learning Commons is in Brooks Library on the first floor. And so these are our hours Monday through Thursday from 10 to 9, Friday from 10 to 4. Saturday we are closed, but the library is still open, just not for tutoring. And Sunday tutoring services are from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And if you guys have any more questions or want to know a little bit more about the Learning Commons, we also added the website and our email in case you guys want to make an appointment with us.
Mm. And then just to note, Learning Commons hours or tutoring hours are not the library hours. So there are times outside of this that you will come into the library and interact with the resources there. And some of our programs aren't within these hours as well, that can go beyond. So on that note, there is a wide range of different services we offer at different times in different ways to engage with. It can be kind of a daunting task to find the right place with the right person, right information, and get the right appointment. And so if you're confused or if it's just too much for you, please give us an email or a call or just walk up to our front desk. We want to help you. We want to meet you where you are and how you are. Just reach out and we'll help you out.
So I have a question. Do students need to make appointments to get connected with these services, or can they just drop in, or does it depend on the service?
It depends on the service. So like with the writing, the math, and the subject specific, anything that's one-to-one, you have to make an appointment. Some of those services have drop-in hours, but those are on a limited availability basis. PALS and e-tutoring is drop-in completely. If you're engaging with writing tutoring in an asynchronous way, it kind of sort of is drop-in, but in the way that it's first come, first served. There are only so many writing tutors. And so like if it's coming right up against midterms or finals week and you're submitting something 2 or 3 days before when you need to get edits back, they may not be able to get you in time. So yes and no.
Yeah, and I just want to add for mentoring as well, you can just drop in whenever during your hours, or you can make an appointment with the Learning Commons at the front desk as well.
Okay, thank you. So folks, if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chats. And do students, can they do ongoing mentoring with like the same mentor, or is it like different person each time?
It can be either or. I think a lot of people definitely do prefer to have that reoccurring, with the same person, just because you kind of make that connection and you can, like, they fill out an assessment form just to kind of see like where their skills are at. So meeting with the same person is definitely ideal, but they definitely don't have to be meeting with the same person if they don't want to.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys. And if we do get further questions, we will direct them your way.
We got Torn in the chat asking about online options. He lives about an hour away and can't commute to campus. So again, it depends on the program, which is gonna be my answer for pretty much everything. But for PALS, you can drop in at any time online. They always have that open. Writing tutoring, I believe, also has asynchronous one-to-one meetings. E-tutoring is always available. That one's solely online anyway. You can do it in person regardless. I don't know about subject specific. You'll have to ask that particular department about that. But I know that the math specific tutors are trained and ready to do online. So there are ways to engage without ever stepping foot in our building.
And the E-Consortium has tutoring for a wide variety of subjects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually the really interesting part. Because the e-tutoring isn't central. So it's like the third-party resource that we've contracted out to. And so they have global networks of tutors that will cover all subjects. There is kind of a caveat to that, though, is it means that it's not a Central Washington University tutor. And so with really specific courses, you can run into things where your tutor might have a different understanding of what your instructor is trying to teach. And we run into this with chemistry and biology stuff quite a bit sometimes. So just be aware of that. You have to really approach it consciously, understand the differences between different instructors. But otherwise, it is a really great resource. And you're welcome, Torin, anytime.
Okay, thank you. And now we will turn it over to Ms. Kendall-Smart.
You guys see my screen? Let me drag it. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kendall Smart. I work in disability services as an access specialist. So on the screen here is our main website. So our office provides academic accommodations for
Kendall?
students. Yeah.
Your screen is sharing your background of your computer.
Oh, gosh. Hello. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's my family. This is our website. So this portal shows you specifically how to register with our office if you are interested in registering with us for academic accommodations. So if you currently have an IEP or a 504 and are interested in receiving accommodations at the college level, that will be kind of your first step. I will say that IEPs and 504s do not directly transfer over, right? There could be potential accommodations that you receive at your current high school that may not be appropriate in higher education, but we can definitely go over each of that and have a conversation. I would say typically accommodations that are implemented would be potentially additional time for exams, note-taking accommodations, weekly check-ins. So in those weekly check-ins, we do have conversations about time management, organization, study skills, having conversations with instructors. We also know that at times it can be intimidating or stressful talking to faculty about your accommodations, or just in general the stigma associated with registering with our office. So it is something that we do encourage. If you're interested in having more of a one-on-one conversation or kind of learning more about what our office does, we're more than happy to have those conversations. We work with about 1,000 students a year, and a roughly 95% of those students have invisible disabilities. So that could be students with ADHD, mental health conditions, those types of things, right? So we definitely want you all to get connected. Oftentimes we hear from students that they kind of want to see how their college classes go first before registering with us. Which is, always fine, but I will say it can be a lot easier at times if you register with us first. So we can have all your information opposed to maybe it getting closer to midterms or the end of the quarter and you're wanting services. Our accommodation process can be implemented at any point in time within the quarter, but accommodations are not retroactive. So it can be sometimes helpful just to get that process going now, or anytime at the beginning of the quarter, so your faculty can be notified and you know kind of what that process is. With that though, accommodations can always be modified or changed at any point in the quarter or within your time here at Central. So it is very individualized approach, right? Very student-led. We understand that it's not a one size fits all, so it's very tailored to you as the student. So yes, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to connect. Like I said, this is our website here. To register with us, you would click the Disability Services application. It will just ask you some questions regarding your diagnosis, what accommodations you're seeking, and some other questions. But like I said, our contact information is also here. So if you want to send us an email or call us to talk about your specific questions, that's always an option as well. So thank you and welcome to Central.
And Kendall, parents, if their student wants them, parents can assist them with applying for services.
So the process is more student-led. So we definitely want the student to be filling out the online application. It is more specific to you as the student and your information. However, if you would like a parent or support person to join you in that meeting, that is acceptable, that we're happy with that. But I will say we do want the student to do the majority of the talking. and happy to answer any questions at the end from the Parent or Support Network.
Great. And I will add, because I work with hundreds of students a year, I have a number of students who decide that they want to wait to apply for their services, and that can create various challenges. For one, many students choose to do that, and then disability services gets a little bit clogged up, I think, with a lot of people trying to reach out to them at the same time for help. And I think it can also put your faculty in like a weird position of wanting to support you, but not exactly knowing how they are supposed to support you when you don't already have accommodations in place. So I do want to encourage any of you, if you do have a 504 or an IEP at the high school, or if you have another reason why an accommodation would be appropriate for you, to start reaching out now and have that in place before the quarter starts. So that way you're just off on a good footing and ready to go. And if you don't need to use the accommodations, then great, but at least you have them. Because it's much easier to ignore something you don't need than to try to access something you do need when it's not available at that moment. Okay, thank you, Kendall. And now we are going to turn it over to Dr. Chris Dennison to talk about the Douglas Honors College. And I'm going to do a plug for it right now and say that the Douglas Honors College is very cool. And most of your high schools, we have a big group of students tonight well, not a huge group of students, actually, it's a smaller group of students, but from a variety of high schools. Most of the high schools will give credit for honors colleges. All of them will give credit for honors colleges, college classes, but many of them will for specific high school requirements. Honors college is fun, it's cool, people like it, they're right upstairs from me. And they have really good faculty, and so I don't want to take everything away from Chris of what to say, but I want to really encourage you to think about it because it's a really good option.
Thank you, Angela. And I don't pay her to say all that. So I do appreciate that. So I'm Chris Dennison. I am the director of the Douglas Honors College. We've been around for almost 50 years. In just a couple more years, we will celebrate that 50th birthday. So there are a couple reasons why you should choose the Honors College. And for some reason, my thing doesn't want to advance. So why should you join or think about the Honors College as part of your Running Start experience? Because of the whole experience of being in honors. And I'm going to say I am 100% biased about honors. I've been here for a long time, and this beautiful graduate on your screen was a Running Start student and also graduated from the Douglas Honors College in 2023, and I may or may not be related to her. So it's a bit about the Honors College and why our students do well in our environment. We have seminar style classes, meaning you're going to come in and have a great discussion with our faculty who are very excited to be teaching. They get to talk about really interesting topics. We have a class about conspiracy theories, and students explore different conspiracy theories. Why do people engage with that? And then as part of their grade and project, they come up with their own conspiracy theory and research that and put that out there. We have a class about the mountain's call, one similar called Mountain Aesthetics, where our students go out into nature and go hiking as part of the class. Now, if students have challenges that prevent them from being able to do that, we don't force them out into nature, but we do find other ways in which they can still do that portion of the class. Our classes change every quarter, so while we have a class called the Aesthetic Experience, the topics within that change every quarter. So our students are able to have a wide variety of really interesting topics that we discuss. Our class sizes are going to be small. Of course, the benefit of being at CWU is our class sizes are typically smaller. However, general education classes are going to be a bit on the larger side. Those are going to sit between 35 and 40 students. In the Honors College, we have no more than 24 students in our classes. One reason for that, there's only 24 seats in my classroom. So we top out there, but also it's difficult to have really engaging conversations if you have more than that 24. So we keep our class sizes small. We are interdisciplinary. So what I mean by that is we're going to bring more than one subject into the classroom for us to have a discussion. An example of that would be a course we have called Politics and Games. And that's a class that uses game theory as a way to discuss and talk about different political structures and ways in which politicians use game theory to further their agendas. And game theory comes out of statistics, math. So we bring in political science, philosophy, and mathematics to talk about politics and games. Another class that we have is we have a chemistry class and about natural products. And so they are looking at the science of natural products, and the students go out and collect different plants and then bring them into the lab and do different things with them. I'm not the sciencey person, so that's about all I can say about that class. But there's a wide variety of different types of classes within the Honors College. And we want you to see the interconnections within our world, and it really helps you become a better critical thinker. It helps you become an even more creative thinker to be solving those wicked problems of the world and those really challenging concepts that we want to talk about. We also are leaning more and more towards alternative grading. We are an honors college. We tend to get students who focus on that final grade, searching always and chasing that A, which I totally understand. I raised 2 honors college students. But by focusing on alternative grading, though, we're shifting that focus from that grade to your learning. And that's really what we want you to do. So alternative grading means that you may get a mark that's a not yet, meaning you didn't meet the expectations, or meets expectations or exceeds expectations. If you get a mark that is meets or not yet, you have that opportunity to revise and resubmit, because all of this is about learning, not just putting a grade in our grade book that says what you know on this particular day and this point in time. We want you to continue to expand, and alternative grading puts the control in your hands as to how it is you want to perform in our classes. Another reason students choose and are successful in the Honors College is the support we give them. We are writing intensive, meaning you're going to do writing in our classes, and we need you to be an excellent communicator. That is what employers want from you after you graduate from college. You know, finish high school, you're going to go get your degree, some of you, or you're going to go, hopefully, you're all going to go get a job. And your employer is going to want you to be able to communicate and be able to do that both orally and writtenly and do it well. So we provide that additional experience, assistance for the writing. We do also encourage you, of course, to go up to the Writing Center up in the Learning Commons, but we do have an honors student who serves as our writing assistant that helps. We also provide peer advising and peer mentoring. Again, Learning Commons has those same opportunities for you up in the library. What's different about ours is it's done by honors students. So when you have an honors specific question and you want to talk to another honors student about it, our peer advisor and peer mentors are here to help you, not only with that transition as you are coming into college, being a Running Start student, but just also becoming an adultier adult. Sometimes there are things that you just want to be able to talk to a peer about, and we do have that assistance for you. Also, I didn't put it on here because I think it goes without saying is our faculty are amazing. I have very responsive faculty who are all about student success. They would not teach in the Honors College if they weren't about you being successful in college. And then the engagement here in the Honors College. So as an honors student, there we have programming that happens every week. It's a different program, from movie nights, game nights. We do hikes on the weekends. We will bring in guest speakers. We have a series called Dining with Decision Makers, where you get to have a meal with a decision maker here on campus. Last year, we had the VP for our business, our Chief Financial Officer, Joel Cucking, came in. Well, we had our students wanted to talk to our executive chef, Joe Ritchie. So the students let us know who they would like to have a meal with, and we invite them to come in. It's a great opportunity for you as a student to explore different career fields, but also talk to the people that are making the decisions for how you experience Central Washington University. Also, at the end of every quarter on the last Friday, we have a lock-in. Our students are in the building from 8 p.m. on Friday to 8 a.m. on Saturday, and they're just doing a wide variety of things. They're playing games, they're watching movies, they're just having a great time to de-stress and get prepared for the finals week that's following. We have cultural events that we encourage our students to go to that we want you to have a wide variety of different experiences here at CWU. And so we will advertise different cultural events that we believe would bring some additional meaning and opportunity into your student experience. We also send students to conferences. An opportunity for you to go in and share your research, the things that you've been doing in class. Last year, or I guess really this calendar year, but last academic year, we did have a Running Start student go to the Western Regional Honors Council Conference down in California and present research that she had been working on in one of her honors courses. So that is just a really great experience to have. It looks great on your resume or as part of your applications to colleges if you choose not to stay here with us at CWU. So those are all the things why I think you should be in the Honors College and the ways in which we support all of our students here. For those of you that are thinking about honors but aren't quite sure, you haven't applied yet, there are a couple different ways that you can do this. We do have automatic admission for our students that have a 3.8 or higher. I just would like a writing sample so that I can get a better idea of how you're writing, but that 3.8 is guaranteed admission to honors. If you have lower than a 3.8, you write an essay, and you can send us an essay that you've already done in high school. You do not have to write a brand new essay, but it does need to be a minimum of 500 words. It is reviewed by our application review committee, and that is a committee made up predominantly of students. I sit on that, as does Matt Martinson, who's our writing curriculum coordinator, who is hands down a student favorite. He used to teach in the English department, and many students enjoyed having him for English 101. We stole him, and now he teaches exclusively for us. So if you've heard his name before and you know he's an excellent instructor, you have to take an honors class in order to have that experience. If you send us an essay and you don't meet our minimum writing requirements, that doesn't mean you cannot be an honors student. We will give you feedback and ask you to revise and resubmit your essay. We are all about learning. We are all about giving students that honors experience if that is what they want to have. We do not use, your GPA is just used to go automatic admission or you need to write. It's not used in a decision. If you have a 3.0, but you write an excellent essay, welcome to the Honors College. You are welcome here. As Angela said, our courses do transfer to other institutions. How they transfer is up to the institution you're going to be going to. What we do provide for you is the learner outcomes and the course description, so we can give the institution, the other institution, as much information as possible about our courses to make that transition as smooth as possible. Of course, you know, Angela's here for you to support you with Running Start, and she's not here to recruit for CWU beyond the Running Start, but that's not me. I recruit for Central. So I'm going to say, you know, if you have that opportunity to stay here with us at CWU, you will have a great undergraduate experience in the Honors College. What we do here rivals what you will experience at any other institution. And I've had a child go to another school and participate in the Honors College. It's an awesome Honors College. But I do believe what we provide here was equal to what she was able to get at a much larger school within our state. So the Honors College is really here for you and your success. if you have any questions and you're not sure, is honors something I want to participate in, you can visit us. You're here in town or you're fairly local, you can come do a day in the life visit where you can sit in our classes and you can learn more about who we are, what we do. If you're ever in the building needing, you have to go and talk with Angela, stop by and see us. We're just upstairs on the second floor. If you decide you'd like to do a day in the life, you want to come in and just sit in on a couple classes, just contact us and we can help you get that set up. Here is our contact information, our email, our website. The QR code will take you to our website. I will say our application for Running Start, the link seems to be broken and I will have to get that fixed. So if you do want to participate in honors, just send us an email and we will get all the information to you. We encourage you to follow us on our social media. That's the best way to see what we're up to and learn more about us. So that is honors in a nutshell. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So thank you.
So I have a question. When people hear honors, they sometimes can think it's like hard, scary, and not
Right.
for everybody.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So we get this often. Probably the number one question that we are asked is about the rigor. Is honors more difficult? And I will tell you what my students tell me. They say it's not, that it is just different, not more difficult. And so then what makes us honors if we're not using GPA and our classes aren't harder? What makes us honors is the learner coming into our classroom, being willing to engage and have that experience. Taking risks in the classroom. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and talk and ask a question or pose a thoughtful retort to something that's happening in the classroom. Honors is all about how you participate within your education. And the things that I'm saying about how to engage in our classroom, you should be doing that in all of the classrooms on campus. It's a little bit easier to do it in ours because our classrooms are a bit smaller and we're set up seminar style for you to be able to do that. The honors, again, is just about that engagement and the focus that you place on your education. We are 100% here for your success. If you are needing additional help in a class, our faculty are there to help you. They then, if it's beyond what they're able to do for you in the class, then they come and they talk to me. And then I'm able to refer you to resources, many of the resources that you've heard about today, or to go back in and speak with Angela. So I'm here to help. I know with your high school requirements, there are certain things that you have to do to make certain that you graduate from high school. So working with me and Angela and your counselor at the high school, we are able to determine which of our courses are going to satisfy different graduation requirements. There are some sticky wickets. I know you have for history, you have US history and Pacific Northwest history. We don't have classes that specifically focus on those things. So we tend to be more of when you have met some of those really stringent, more inflexible requirements like the history and all the things that you have to do. Honors is a great way to come in and take care of that. Now, if you are homeschooled, then honors is really an easy way to complete your graduation requirements for high school. We've had a few homeschool students come in and complete all honors and meet all of their high school requirements for that. So there is a few things that we do have to have some communication back and forth on, but we do have more and more high school students coming in to the honors college. So the local high schools are getting more used to our classes and know how to articulate that to your graduation requirements.
And I'll also add, and Chris possibly knows, maybe she pays attention to this on the detail, but As far as how Running Start students do in honors classes, all of the Running Start students that we've had in honors classes, I think pretty much get straight A's in their honors classes. I don't know if I recall any of them ever getting below an A. And all of y'all are great. So I'm not saying that to scare you, like you have to be a straight A student to take them, but I want to emphasize that there's a lot of support in the program. The faculty are very caring, and I think that there's a lot of opportunities for success in honors that you can find. Okay, well, I put in the chat the email if you want to email them. You can also email me if you want to do honors, and I can get you connected with their team. Or again, you can just, if you're in the building, I know some of you guys are strictly online, but if you are one of our locals and you're in the building, you can just literally go upstairs and see them because they're right next door. So, okay, thank you so much, Chris. Okay, friends, so now what we're going to do is those are all different resources available to you on campus. We're now going to focus specifically on Running Start resources and information for you. It's going to be mostly me talking, but I'm also going to ask our peer mentor, Ms. Shiloh Bowen, to introduce herself really quickly.
Had to find the unmute button. Hi, I'm Shiloh Bowen. I am the new Running Start peer mentor, and I'm a great resource for you guys if you need any help with anything. I used to be a Running Start student myself, and I am currently a CWU student, so I have a lot of information.
Thank you. So the two of us will be talking. If you have questions, the part I'm going to talk about is less exciting, but it's more like essential things you need to know. Often during the Zoom orientations, I get people who like direct message me questions while I'm presenting. I can't look at them while I'm presenting. So if you can not direct message me, at least while I'm talking, but put it in the chat for everybody, because it's probably a question, unless it's very specific about you, class, like I want to change my schedule. It's probably something that's relevant for everybody. And it's something that Shiloh can help address in the chat while I'm talking. So again, please ask questions if you have them, or if you want to be able to vocalize them at the end. Again, we'll let you unmute at the end of the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and okay, Shelly, you can give me a thumbs up that it's showing. It's calling you Shelly, but that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So things that you guys need to know that are really important. All of you guys have accessed your CWU accounts because you're all registered for classes, or you're on a wait list, or you've done advising to get into classes. So when your login for everything at Central is going to be the same. So it's always going to be your username at cwu.edu and then your password. So your MyCWU account, you're going to use each term to register for your classes. If you owe any fees, and you will probably have fees, I'll talk about those in a later slide. You can pay them through MyCWU. You can access your grades at the end of the term. You can update your name, your address, all of that stuff. So you're not going to use it like on a daily basis like some of the other resources, but I want you to remember that it's there. And you can also use that to access your class schedule, which would be useful for you to make sure that you're enrolled in the classes that you want, that you aren't on any wait list, that you got off of a wait list, or that you are on a wait list, and to see like what books you need and things like that. So you can access your schedule through your student center, which I will show you in a second. Canvas is what you're going to use to access any online content for your classes. So some of you here tonight are going to be strictly online students because of the distance that you live from campus. Others of you are attending tonight because it is convenient at the time for you, and you're maybe going to be taking classes in person. Almost all your professors, whether you're taking in-person classes or you're strictly online, are going to be using Canvas. Canvas functions similarly to like a Google Classroom at your high school. And so when you log into it, once your professor turns their class on, and probably none of you have classes that are turned on right now in Canvas, But once they do turn it on, that's where you'll be able to access if they're using an online inclusive access book. And I'll talk about that when we talk about books. Or if they have recorded lectures for you to access, or if they have other readings and materials for you, or if they want you to discuss things with your classmates online or do peer review, all of that's going to take place in Canvas. And then also very important is you have a CWU email account. You are required to use your email account. So I want to encourage you, if you've not been checking it, to make sure that you start checking it. Your email is just through Outlook. So if you go to outlook.com and log in with your CWU username and at cwu.edu and then your password, you'll be able to access your email. What I encourage a lot of students to do is download the Outlook app for your phone and then turn the notifications on. So that way you'll get automatic notifications whenever you get emails. I will be honest, some of the emails you get are not going to be super exciting, but you still need to check it because some of the emails you get are going to be really important. And if you miss them, then you might miss out on deadlines, you might miss out on important information. We don't send almost anything home in the mail. So you want to make sure that you're checking that so that you can stay on top of everything that you need to know. Also important, you need to use that email when you are emailing any of your instructors. So you don't want to use your personal Gmail account, ilovehorses@gmail.com or whatever. You want to make sure that you're using your CWU one because professors need to know that they are emailing the actual students, not somebody else. And some students don't have like their real name on their personal emails. So it's hard to know. I had somebody email me today with a question and it took me a minute to figure out who they were because their email handle is not their actual name. And so I just didn't know who it was. So you want to make sure that you're using that. It's how professors can confirm that they're actually communicating with you and not somebody else, which is required for them to stay in compliance with federal law and university policy. If your account's not working, you want to contact the service desk. For those of you who are taking online classes, this is even more crucial. If something's not working in your account, you need to make sure you reach out to them so that they can get you back into your account and everything is going to be working correctly. In MyCWU, you will be able to view your student center. When you log into MyCWU, on the right side, you're going to see applications. On the left side, you're going to see something that has your name and your ID number and your email login. It will also have your email address. The address is an alias that you can't log in with. So I don't recommend getting emotionally attached to that one. Get attached to your actual login. And then it will say that you can visit your student center. When you visit your student center, this is what it's going to look like. So you are going to have your schedule. This is an old schedule, obviously, from fall 2020, but the principles still apply. So you're going to have your class schedule. It will show you if you have any holds. It will show you if you have any enrollment dates or what your enrollment dates are going to be. It will tell you who your advisor is. I am your advisor. So if you forget who I am, it is listed in my CWU. If you owe any fees, it's going to show you what fees you owe. It will give you a link for how to pay your fees. You can also in here update your name, update your address. If your parent or guardian filled out your Running Start application for you and they put their phone number instead of yours, you can go in and you can still leave their phone number as like an alternative, but you can also add your own phone number so that way we can call you and make sure we're reaching you and not harassing your parents. You can also in here access a more long form version of your schedule that you can print out. This one it only has one classroom on here, but this is going to be where you're going to look to see what the classroom is for your classes if they're in person. So if you are taking a class like in Discovery Hall and you're taking one in Samuelson and you're taking one in Hepler, you want to know that in advance because we're not a huge campus, but bigger than your high school campus. And you want to make sure that you know where your buildings are so you can get to where you need to go. Another important thing is you want to get a CW connection card. If you are local and can come on campus to get your card, you can go to Bullion Hall. It's where testing services is. It is where the student financial services is. There's a lot of resources over there. Your connection card is free. So you can go in there and get your picture taken and they will print it for you. You can use this for accessing many resources on campus, like the library, tutoring, checking out laptops, printing on campus, getting into events on campus. So you do want to make sure that you get this. Even if you're taking online classes and you're unlikely to come to campus very often, You can still get a connection card. On the connection card website, there is a link where you can upload a picture, and then you can reach out to them and ask them to mail your connection card to you. So even if you're not here in Ellensburg or in Kittitas County, you know, you might get like student discounts or different things by having that ID card, and you can show that you're a central student. So I want to encourage all of you guys to get these. For those who are parents or guardians in the Zoom room, be aware that students can use these as like charge cards in the Wildcat shop, which is our bookstore. So people can add money to them so that students can use it to like purchase food in the circ, that kind of thing. But I have also seen where students have charged things to their student account, not realizing what that was going to mean. So, so don't use it like a credit card unless you're prepared to pay for the charges that you're going to incur. Parking, so if you're going to be traveling onto campus, you do want to get a parking permit. If you're just visiting occasionally, you can just get a daily permit, you know, like if you're coming in for advising or something, or maybe just park a little farther away and walk. But if you're going to be coming daily onto campus, it's probably a good idea to get a parking permit. There are some free lots, but there are limited spots, so I would only be relying on that if you have a lot of time on your hands and you can get here early and you can, you know, have time to walk, because those free lots tend to be on the back side of campus. It isn't super close to most of the classrooms. When you get a parking permit, you can put up to 5 vehicles on the permits, but one can be parked on campus at a time. So you can't just like you and all your friends get the same one. We do encourage students to carpool. Parking permits can be fairly expensive. I'm gonna try and pull it up and we can see. So as a student, you can buy them by the quarter or you can buy them for the year. So it's $128 a quarter, or it is $273 for the calendar year, September to September. So like I said, they can be pretty spendy. Faculty and staff also have to buy them. So I would encourage you to carpool if you can. Keep in mind, there's also like central transit and stuff like that if you're local, where you can, you know, access that for free. You can ride your bike. There's bike racks everywhere. But again, if you are going to be parking regularly on campus, it would probably be a good idea to get a parking permit. There are some fees that you're going to incur as a Running Start student, so I want to make sure that you're aware of that. Your tuition is covered by the state. So just for context here, like a full-time student attending for the year, their cost of attendance is around $11,000 for taking, you know, like 12 to 18 credits and for fees that they pay. Your tuition, as long as you stay within the amount of credits that you're allowed to by your high school, which is indicated on your enrollment verification form that you do with your counselor, your tuition is covered by the state. So you don't have to pay any of the tuition part. And you don't pay most of the fees, but there are some fees that you will need to pay. So there is each quarter a multimodal fee. It is $25 a quarter that goes towards paying for kind of like the online infrastructure of online resources available for students. There's also a technology fee that's going to be every quarter. It's $3 per credit and it maxes at 10 credits. So it maxes at $30. So for a full-time student, you would probably, which is in, you know, 10 credits or above, you're probably going to have a $55 fee. Certain classes are going to have course fees. So if you were taking like American Sign Language, they have some of their own tutoring resources. And so there's like a fee that goes with ASL that I think is like $5 or $10. If you're taking PE classes or something like that on campus, there's frequently like a locker fee that you have to pay, or for towels. If you're taking a chemistry class or like a geology class where you're going to be accessing materials, or like an art class, you might have fees for that. The fees are listed in the schedule. If you registered before like yesterday, you should be able to see fees in your student account. There are fees for testing. So depending on if you take like the Accuplacer or the Alex, I push pretty heavily for students to take the Accuplacer, but both of them have fees, so you want to be aware of that. And then if you decide to use the rec center, as Cindy mentioned earlier, there is a fee. And for context, all students are charged the fee for the rec center except for Running Start students. Running Start students opt in. Regular students are required to pay it. And Shiloh can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the student fees for regular students are around like $600 a quarter. So they're pretty expensive. So if you want to do the rec center, you can, but you do have to pay for the membership. And my understanding is that you have to be at least 16 years old and you have to have a parent sign a waiver if you're under 18. But you can find out all that information by going to the CIRC and they'll be able to explain it to you. You can pay any fees you have through my CWU or at the cashier's office. You can also pay via mail. There's no payment over the phone. Another fee that you're going to need to pay for, a cost that you will encounter, is textbooks. So textbooks are not covered through Running Start unless you meet certain criteria that I'm going to talk about in a second. So anticipate that you may need to get books for your classes. Some professors are going to use physical books. Other professors are going to use online books or inclusive access books. Some professors are going to use open education resources, which are free. So that's nice when they're using that. Sometimes you can rent things. Sometimes you can buy used books. Sometimes you can buy new books. So there's all kinds of options with books. It is up to your professor what books they're going to use. You'll be able to find that out by going to the bookstore website. And you can go here and then go to order textbooks. And I'm not a student, so I've never been able to try this myself, but it appears that if you put your ID number in, you can click Get Book List and it'll have you log into your account and show you what books you need. I look up books for students all the time and I do it the old-fashioned manual way. So if you know what your schedule is, and you all should, or at least you can find it in your student center in my CWU, you can use your schedule to find the books that you need. Books should be listed on the bookstore website. However, professors have to tell students or have to tell the bookstore what books they're going to use. It is possible that some of your professors have not told the bookstore what books they're going to use yet. This is a very normal thing that some of them will tell it kind of later, closer to when the quarter starts, maybe not as quickly as we would like. So if it says that there's the book information isn't available yet, you want to keep checking. So if we scroll down, we can search by a department. So let's say I am taking History 140. I'm going to take English 101 because I need that. And you'll notice, and I'm going to actually backtrack a bit when you are, and we're going to stop for questions in just a minute here after I show you the book stuff. So when you're looking at your schedule, you'll see that it has the class, right? And it says ENG 102-001. So English is the department, and then 102 is the course number, and 001 is the section. Same with Korean. So this is KRN is for Korean. For the subject, 151 is the class number, and A01 is the section number, and then true for physics as well. So when we are looking at our books, we want to look at what the section is because there's a lot of Englishes. See, there's so many of them. So we can click on, say we're taking section 006. So we would click on that, and it's going to add it down here for us to choose. And I'm also going to take US history. And so I'm going to say I'm doing history 143, section 001 with Estrada. Pro tip that you may or may not remember, but 001, 00 classes, like 001, 002, etc., are classes that are held on the Ellensburg campus. A classes, so A01, A02, A03, are online classes. You'll also see that there's R classes, those are for college and high school, and there's S classes, which are for classes that are Spanish. So we have our history, and I'm also going to take Nutrition 101. And I'm taking it with Professor Katie Williams, so I'm going to select that. And now I'm going to choose my books. And so for my English class, this says open education resource, no purchase necessary. So that means I don't need to purchase a book for that class. That professor is going to provide me with everything I need, probably on Canvas. And then for my history class, it says that my books are not currently available. And it says that for my nutrition class too. So maybe this wasn't the best example. So we're gonna look, because I think History 144 has a book. So we'll look for History 144. So you can see that real books are still used occasionally. So History 144 with Estrada. And I'm also going to show you with Dr. Herman, because I think they use different books. Okay, so for Dr. Herman, he doesn't have any books listed yet. For Dr. Estrada, he has 2 books. So this one is Proud Shoes. I have the option to select it. I can select it from the bookstore, or I can take the ISBN number and I could go to Amazon or wherever else you want to buy books and use the ISBN to search for it. The second book, IA Hist 144 Unsettled, this is an inclusive access book. So inclusive access books are online books that your professors use, that you're going to access in Canvas, where online materials are for your classes, and it's going to charge automatically to your student account. So this isn't something that you can purchase from the bookstore. It's something that is going to be automatically charged. It's a virtual resource rather than a physical resource. You will get an email if you are using this kind of book. You can see it here. You can also see it in your class schedule if you click on textbooks. If you want to know more about what these are, you can go up here and look at inclusive access, and it will explain what it is, that it gets charged automatically. You can access it for the first 2 weeks of the class. On the 6th day of the class, you are going to get, it's going to be billed onto your account. And then if you don't want to use it, you have to opt out by responding to the email saying that you don't want to use it, opting out in Canvas, or using this CWU Verba compare.com to do it. Something that's challenging if you opt out of your inclusive access books is if that's the only book that your professor is using, then you are not going to be able to access any other material for that class. So something to keep in mind. And again, inclusive access books, if it's a physical book, you got to physically go buy it or order it. If it's an inclusive access book, you can't physically go buy it. It's going to charge automatically. It's going to show as a bookstore charge on your student account. So when you get that, if you're like, I've never been to the bookstore before, it's probably because you have an inclusive access charge, and you probably have an email about it from the bookstore letting you know that that's there. We do have support for students if they are receiving a free or reduced lunch at their high school, or if you receive any kind of public assistance, or if you are a foster youth, or if your primary parent is or guardian is receiving unemployment, or there could be other circumstances. We do have a book loan program that we can use to purchase physical books or e-codes for students. We can't use it to pay for inclusive access books. So if you qualify, I sent out an email to everybody with like the new student handbook and some other materials. One of the materials is the application for our book loan program. So if you are eligible for that, then you need to fill it out, or you should fill it out. Make sure that you get some confirmation, either your high school counselor signing, or if you get like food assistance or something like that, you know, when you have like a food card, you can attach it to the form and email it to me. The deadline for that is September 16th, so that we have enough time to be able to actually look up your books and make sure we can order them. The bookstore doesn't always have the books on time, so we need time to make sure we can get stuff ordered. So we can purchase physical books for you or codes if you qualify. Also this year, we have a grant from the state to help pay for fees for students who qualify for either free reduced lunch or public assistance or foster youth or parents receiving unemployment, where we can pay for your inclusive access fees. We can pay for any like multimodal fee, technology fee, course fees. We can't pay for parking permits with the grant, but we can pay for pretty much any other fees that students might have. So if you qualify, I really, really want to encourage you to fill out the application and send it in to us so that we can reduce the cost for you. We don't want there to be any barriers for you to be able to participate. Okay, so that's like financial things and things like that. And it doesn't look like we have any questions. Shiloh's just being awesome and putting stuff in the chat for you. So we are going to move on to advising and registration. So as you all know, I'm your advisor. You are required to meet with me each quarter before you can register for classes. You are going to be notified when it's time to meet with me via Canvas and via email. Shiloh will call you, but there are almost 300 of you. There's one of Shiloh and there's one of me. Takes a long time to call people. So get ahead of the game. Don't wait for Shiloh to call you. And if you're waiting for me to call you, I only call people when it's like they should have registered like 2 months ago. So don't wait for calls. When you get the email, we get notification, come see me for advising when it's the advising time. As I mentioned, as of today, almost 300 Running Start students at our Ellensburg campus who are doing advising with me. And there's just one of me. All of you guys get to register around pretty much the same time. So when you get the notification that I'm going to do advising from like this day to this day, I will tell you to look into your student account, go to your student center, see when registration opens for you, and you want to see me before that day. I do drop-ins when school is in session. I do drop-ins in the morning. I do appointments in the afternoon. So I do Zoom drop-ins, I do Zoom appointments, I do in-person drop-ins, in-person appointments. So there's lots of ways to see me, but you don't want to delay because that can prevent you from being able to register for your classes on time. Once you get that notification, you want to make sure that you also meet with your high school counselor and talk with them about getting your enrollment form filled out. All of you either should have this done already, or you should be aware that you need to do it because we need to have that turned in before school starts. You have to do that form every single quarter before you can register for classes. And it's important that when you're doing that, you talk with your high school counselor about what your requirements are. So I'm pretty knowledgeable with most of our schools of what will satisfy different requirements. We have equivalency guides for most of our schools. We every year get students from schools we haven't worked with before, which is totally fine, but it means I might be less of an expert on what your requirements are. And if there's anything about like needing to make a change or something like that, you want to confirm it with your counselor. So your counselor is in charge of determining what's going to satisfy your high school requirements. I'm here to assist you and then also talk to you about college requirements. So make sure you check in with them each quarter, turn in your enrollment form. And I also want to encourage you to be proactive and look at the class schedule before you come in for advising to get an idea of what is available at the times that you're available to take classes. So you can get an idea of what you want to take. I don't mind looking at classes with you guys. I don't mind making recommendations. I'm happy to do that. But this is your education. And so we want you to be proactive and for you to identify what you're interested in. Because if you're relying on other people to make recommendations beyond what your high school requirements are, you might be taking classes that they're more interested in than what you are. And so, for instance, I have a master's degree in history. I like literature, I like philosophy, things like that. So if I know what you're interested in, I can make recommendations beyond those things. But if I do occasionally have students who are like, I don't know what I want to take, I don't know what I'm interested in, and you're probably going to get a lot of recommendations for the things that I like. So, this is your education, so own it. Be proactive, look at what's available, see what you might want to do. Think about what you might want to major in and what classes can work towards that. And I'm happy to assist you with all of that, but I don't want you to be like codependent with me about picking out stuff for you. And all of you guys are registered right now or on wait lists, hopefully. You can make changes to your schedule through the first 5 days of the quarter. So if something isn't working with your current schedule, we can make changes. Those changes are obviously limited to what's available right now. There's a lot of classes that are full. As people make changes to their schedules, some classes might open as spots open up in them. But you can make changes through the first 5 business days of the quarter. What that means is that you can add classes, you can drop classes, you can change classes through those first 5 days. If you decide that, in the first week that this just isn't for you at all and you just don't want to do it, you can drop your classes and it will be as if you were never enrolled in them. Or if you kind of over enrolled and we realize like, oh, you're taking history here and at the high school, we can't do both. Again, you can drop classes and it won't show on your transcript in the first 5 days. You can also, like I said, add other classes. You can watch and see if stuff opens up through the first 5 days. After that, the only changes you can make are going to be withdrawals. And so you can do an uncontested withdrawal through the first 6 weeks of the quarter. Withdrawals do show up on your transcript that you were enrolled in the class and that you withdrew from it, but it does not impact your GPA. You don't want to get a lot of W's on your transcript because that can look a little wonky. You know, like every quarter we sign up for 15 credits, but then we withdraw to 10 credits. Like we don't know what we're doing. But 1 or 2 is not a big deal. And sometimes that might be the better outcome if something's going on in life, or sometimes we just make bad choices. And it would be better to have a W on your transcript than have a bad grade. And then after that, you have until the last day of classes where you can you can withdraw completely from the university, like if you just can't continue with the program at all. Or you can do a hardship withdrawal if you have a hardship, and you do a petition for that with the registrar's office. I'm going to tell you right now, not liking the professor, not liking your grade is not a hardship, but many other things do qualify as hardships. Right now, during this period, before classes start, and then in the change of schedule period, you are allowed to make changes to your schedule, depending on what's available. You don't need my permission, but I want you to consider if you know what you're doing before you make changes. So if you feel confident, like you know, you really got it down about how to search the schedule and how to find new classes and stuff like that, that's great. Had a couple students who inadvertently dropped themselves from classes trying to get into classes that they weren't actually eligible for, and now they don't have any classes. So if you need help, please reach out to me. I'm happy to assist you. And definitely if you're going to make big changes, talk to your high school counselor about it. If you're going from one class, like 5 credits to 15 credits, then we might need to talk with the high school about pulling you out of some high school classes. Or if you were in 15 credits and you're going to like one class, like 5 credits, you know, you might need to talk to the high school about getting into more classes. So communicate with me, communicate with your high school counselor. You can make changes, it's your schedule, but just, you know, make good choices. And if you feel like you're not totally sure what you're doing, seek help first. Other advising stuff to be aware of. A big part of what we do is picking classes, but that's not all that we're going to do. I'm here to assist you if you need planning for majors, if you don't know what you want to major in and you want to find resources for how to do that, if you know that you want to come to Central and you want to major in a specific thing, or you want to come to Central but you don't know what you want to major in, or you want to go to another school. As Chris mentioned earlier, and as I'm sure I've told most of you, my intention is to support you with whatever your goals are. So if you want to come to Central, that's awesome. If you want to go to another institution, that's also awesome. I just want to make sure that you are taking classes that make sense for what your goals are. So you can always come and talk with me about those things. For those of you who are seniors or juniors who are trying to think ahead, I can also help you with like understanding financial aid stuff, make recommendations for scholarships and different resources. So whatever you need help with, you can come and talk with me about. But I want to again emphasize, I'm your advisor. I'm not the person who decides for everything that you do. This is a collaborative process, and this is your education. So you want to be a full participant in this process. You want to have ownership over the decisions that you're making, over the classes that you're enrolling in, and over the work that you do in your classes. So other thing to be aware of, you do need to meet the academic standards for Running Start students. So basically that is you need to maintain a 2.0 GPA. That should be super achievable for all of you because I'm the one who reviews applications, and I know that all of you have above a 2.0 GPA at your high school. And most of you have above a 3.0 GPA, and many of you have much higher than that. So you guys are all good passing students, and you need to maintain good passing standards when you're at Central. Good standing is getting a 2.0. Again, this is a C average. The first time, if your GPA falls below a 2.0, you would be on probation for the Running Start program. You can still stay in the program, you can still stay in your classes, but we're going to ask you to come in and meet with us more often, maybe come in and see me or come in and see Shiloh to get some help, talk about some strategies, maybe go see one of the peer mentors in the tutoring center, do some referrals. If it happens again and your GPA, if you are on probation and then your GPA falls below a 2.0, you're going to be suspended from the Running Start program. And that means that you cannot continue with classes. You can appeal it. Sometimes life happens multiple times where there's just difficulties that we go through. I would love if you guys would, if something is going on, that you would communicate with me so that I can help you navigate that before we get to a point of being on probation or suspension. But sometimes life just happens. So students can appeal, explain the circumstances, explain what they're going to do to be successful in the future. All of this is to avoid you getting suspended by the university. So if Our standards are stricter than the university standards. The university lets you kind of go through this like warning, probation, and suspension period. We skip warning. And the reason why is because we don't want you to be in a position where you are not going to graduate from high school or where you are not going to be able to continue at Central, even if you wanted to because you were suspended. So this sort of alleviates you from having that step, but again, can be appealed. This won't be an issue for most of you. 90% of our Running Start students meet the academic standard. This is true every single year. I've been at Central for almost 10 years now, working with Running Start students, and they stay pretty consistent. About 90% of our students meet the requirements and about 10% don't. Most of those 10% who don't meet the requirement end up being able to bring their grades back up. And over 50% of our students last year had a 3.5 GPA or higher, which is really good. So most Running Start students do really well. But again, sometimes we can make mistakes. Sometimes life can happen. Please communicate with us if you need help. And I will tell you, I did Running Start when I was in high school. I was a good student, like most Running Start students. I failed PE and I was on probation because I failed PE, which is just so silly. I just didn't go. So I know that this happens. I know sometimes students just don't go to class. It wasn't a big deal for me because it was my last quarter and I wasn't going to anything that mattered, the PE mattered for anyway, but also wasn't great. And with any kind of job I applied for, when I applied for graduate school, competitive programs and things like that, I have to submit my transcript from all my college classes, which you will also have to do with any academic stuff I did, and with, for me, most jobs because I work in academia. And so I have mostly good grades and I have this F and PE. And it's just kind of silly, it doesn't look very good. So don't be me, don't do that. And if you do that, if you don't go to class and you aren't doing your work, come in and talk to me. Ideally, it's before the first 6 weeks of the quarter are over so that we can intervene and see what we can do. So another thing to be aware of, academic records. So academic records are limited central to the student. So we cannot share records with parents. When you participate in Running Start, we are able to share information with your high school, but we can't share information with parents about like student attendance or student grades or anything like that. This is federal law, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and also CWU policy. So for parents who are with us tonight or guardians, please understand that one, I'm very limited in what I have access to. I don't know what students' grades are until they come out at the end of the quarter. I don't know what the ongoing grade for a student is in a class. We don't have things like Skyward here and stuff like that. Your student will be able to see what their grades are if their professor uses Canvas because they use a grade book, but I don't have access to that. I don't know what's covered in the classes. I don't know if the student is attending class or not. I don't know if they're passing or not. So if you call, we're going to be limited in what we can share because information is limited for us. But also, even if I did know, I wouldn't be able to share that with you unless your student gave permission for that through doing a release of information in their MyCWU account, because that's what the federal law is. Even if your student does a release of information, I want to be clear, it's not a good idea for parents to contact faculty. It gives an impression that students are not ready to be in college. And this is a college, it's not high school. So there is an expectation that students can handle problems on their own or with support at home, but not with their parents intervening for them. That they can, seek out resources and get help if they need it. But when a parent calls because they're upset about their student's grade, it usually doesn't go very well. I've, for one, never seen somebody do that and they actually had a FERPA release anyway. But two, it can confuse faculty about what they should say and what they shouldn't say, which is technically not answer questions at all. And it just creates a bad atmosphere for the student. So call me and I can tell you, what I can tell you. Have your student come in and talk to me for help, but please don't contact faculty. Okay, and I'm getting a little coffee, so it's a good thing that we are turning over to Shiloh now to talk about different resources.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Shiloh Bowen, as I've already introduced myself to all of you guys. You already know I am a student here at CWU. I'm currently majoring in psychology, and I am the new Running Start peer mentor. Some fun facts about me is that I really enjoy playing video games. I like reading, writing, doing arts and crafts. Some of my favorite animals are cats. That is my cat Pippin. She's very fat and she is very proud of it, and she's very fluffy as well. And one of my favorite all-time foods is macarons. Macaroons, however people say it. Basically, Oreos, just make them French. My job as a peer mentor is to help you guys. So what I do is I can assist with making advising appointments, and I can refer you to resources on campus if you have questions that I can't answer, or questions about like campus itself. Um, I'm also really good for helping students develop strategies for success, studying, and time management. Uh, I'm also really great as I used to be a Running Start student. I am good for discussing challenges you might face in your courses, and I can provide advice on selection, course selection, professors, and getting connected on campus. I have a bunch of professors that are really great, and then I have a few that were a little rough for me as a Running Start student. So I have some really good tips. Part of being a Running Start student and now a new college student is developing a good class schedule. So, what you're going to want to do is to check your school schedules to make sure that there are no time conflicts between your high school and college classes. You want to consider travel time between the high school and the college. It takes a lot longer than you think, but it also doesn't take as much time as you think. It depends on how the red lights are acting up that day. You also want to avoid overloading your schedule with too many classes. In s- with your time here at CWU, you will experience harder courses and easier courses. You want to try to mix them as much as you can. This will help you to manage your workload more effectively and be way less stressed. You also want to consider extracurricular activities, sports, or part-time jobs when planning your schedule. I know with me being the peer mentor here, I definitely had to keep track of, hey, this is my class schedule and this is when I'm working. It's a lot. So make sure you keep track of that. And you also want to include breaks for meals, relaxation, and study sessions to avoid burnout. Burnout sucks. Don't suggest it. You get so sick, you don't feel good. It's just not the best. Some examples of a part-time student and their schedule is, well, what you can see on the screen. You can see that their high school classes are in the morning. They have them both together. And then they have a break in travel time to get to the college for their English 101 and History 143. That is important. You really, really want to keep track of travel time and be able to have like a little bit of leeway between that travel so that you're not, oh my goodness, I have a class in 5 minutes and I have to get from the high school to the college. What? Because that gets really stressful. They also keep track of the fact that they have sports practice, so that's a great evidence for extracurricular. This is an example of a full-time student. As you can see, they have a part-time job, so that's also a great way to show and keep track of extracurricular and what's going on outside of class. Um, and as you can see, this student's college classes aren't every day. Math is every day, but the other two classes, there's sociology and ASL is not every day. So that's also one thing that you want to keep track of is some of your classes aren't going to be every day and some of them are going to just have really weird times. Speaking of extracurricular and things to keep track of, um there are so many ways to get involved here on campus with like extra activities and things that can get you to meet other students and faculty. A couple of those are joining clubs. CWU has over 100 clubs students can participate in. This includes academic clubs, professional clubs, activities clubs, service clubs. There are so many clubs. The club catalog is huge. Another great way to get involved is attending campus events. Running Start students can attend any event open to all students at CWU. This includes sporting events, Monday Movie Madness, trivia nights, workshops, concerts, art shows, and a lot more. There are a lot of events, especially coming up. Another great way to get involved is volunteering with SLICE. SLICE is student leadership involvement and community engagement. They're really good for figuring out leadership and learning about campus as they do a bunch of volunteer work on campus, but also around Ellensburg. Another great way to get involved if you want to be like more, hey, I want to get like credits for being involved, is taking art classes, dance classes, music, PE, theater, basically any courses that have you really active in a community. Another great way to get involved is getting a job on campus. I have met so many of you students and faculty members. It is amazing. You can also play intramurals or get memberships to the recreation center. Those are great ways to get involved and get to know people. So knowing about opportunities on campus will definitely help you get involved. How many times can I say involved? That's a lot. Um, Knowing about opportunities will be really important. One of the opportunities that you can get information from is if you attend the Fall 2024 Involvement Fair, which is on September 23rd from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the Cirque. There are going to be clubs there, organizations, basically people who are there to invite people to come and see what they are doing. Another great way to know about opportunities and also get a list of clubs is cw.presence.io. This has a huge list of clubs, organizations, and so many activities. This includes basic activities, club activities, sports activities. It's all of the activities. It's a lot. And then if you also want to know more about activities but want like a physical copy, Hype has they post issues and pamphlets every quarter that you can find in the Cirque, at like doors, at news kiosks, just everywhere. And they're really, really fun and really artsy. And some last little bits of advice from me is ask for help when you need it. Don't, if you're worried about like, hey, I think I did something wrong. Hey, I'm failing at this class, ask your professors. You got professors, you got the Learning Commons, you got us. Just ask for help. Check your emails and campus notifications daily as well. Your professors will post important information via email, via Canvas notification, and you do not want to miss them because it will have dates, times, when things are due. Your professors talk a lot on those. Another thing to keep in mind of is take notes and readings on lectures before you go to class. Understanding what your professor is going to talk about before you even get there will really help you understand. And last but not least, have fun. Just enjoy yourself. There's so many different ways to just have fun on campus. And that is all from me. Welcome to Running Start.
Okay, thank you, Shiloh. We are almost done, folks, but there are some other things I want to share with you for how to get your year started off right so that you're going to be in a good position to be successful in your classes. So, what can you expect on your first day? So, whether you're an online student or you are attending classes in person or in a hybrid format, you are going to have professors having expectations of you and things that you can expect from your professor. So one of the main things is going to be that your professor is going to have a syllabus for you. And Most of you are probably familiar with the syllabus already. You've probably used them in your high school classes, but this is going to be where your professor is going to outline what they expect from you as a student, what you're going to be doing in the class, what assignments there's going to be, what the outcomes are for the class, what the expectations are. This is basically like the contract between you and your instructor of how your class is going to work. So you want to make sure that you keep it and that you refer back to it repeatedly. And also for parents or guardians who are with us, maybe make a copy of it so you have a copy so you know what they're working on too. Professors are likely going to ask you to, they're going to introduce themselves and provide you with an overview of what's going to be covered in the course, how you can reach out to them for assistance, required materials that you might need, and expectations for how to succeed. And this is going to be true whether you're in an in-person class or if you're in an online class. Your professor should have this material available to you. And if you feel like you have questions or need help, you want to reach out to them. And professors are likely to have, for in-person classes, a lecture for you to listen to or an assignment to do the first day. And for your online classes, they will also probably have a lecture for you to listen to or an assignment to introduce you to the class. You should expect that if you're taking in-person classes, you want to be on time. So for in-person students, get an idea of what you're going on campus, where your classes are, all of that stuff. For online classes, make sure that you log into Canvas. Something for you to be aware of is if you don't log into Canvas or attend your classes within the first 3 days, professors can drop you for non-attendance, and then you won't be in that class anymore. So make sure that if you're online, logging into Canvas, being active. If you're an in-person student, that you're attending class physically and making sure your professor knows you're there. Be prepared with materials to take notes and ask questions. So if you're attending class in person, have a notepad available so that you can ask questions or so you can write down anything that you need to know, important information, learn your professor's name. For online students, it's going to be the same. You're going to have materials you're going to need to listen to or access, and you want to be ready to start from day one. Plan to introduce yourself to other students and meet other students. This is going to be true in person or online. For Canvas classes, they use discussion boards. It's kind of like Discord, where you're going to be talking with other students, and frequently, whether in person or online, there's going to be questions like, why are you taking this class? What are you hoping to get from it? What are you planning to major in? That kind of stuff. So, don't be surprised if you have to introduce yourself, and be prepared that you're going to have reading assignments in that first week. So you do want to, as much as possible, make sure you have any books or anything that you need ready to go on day one, because you might have readings that you need to do. What I would say is, if the bookstore doesn't have your book, then it means nobody probably has your book, so don't be worried. If that happens, usually professors will scan material for you if that situation does come up. But be prepared to start working from day one on your classes. With high school and college, you're going to find that there's a lot of differences. Obviously, if you're taking online classes, you're going to be spending significantly less time in class than you do at the high school. But even for people taking in-person classes, you're going to be spending less time in class. A full schedule for a college student at Central is 12 to 18 credits. That's going to be on average about 3 classes. Most classes that you guys take are 5 credits. So 15 credits is pretty normal for Running Start students if they're full-time. If they're part-time, anywhere from like 2 classes at the high school, 2 classes at the college. So you're not going to have as much time spent like doing busy work in class. You're going to be in class listening to lectures, discussing things in the class, talking to your professors, that kind of thing. But you're going to have more time outside of class that you need to spend on studying. And that might be reading your textbooks, that might be working through math problems, that might be doing study groups. So plan for each class that you're taking that you might need 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour that you're in class. That's not going to be true for every single class. Some classes are easier than others. Some classes are going to come more naturally to you than others, but you do want to have that time available. Be proactive. One of the big differences between high school and college is that college professors are experts in their field, but they aren't necessarily trained as teachers. High school teachers are trained as teachers and they have broad knowledge, but they're not necessarily experts in the field. Both are very useful and valuable. But what it does mean is that at the high school, ideally, if you're struggling on something, your teacher is going to come up and say, hey, I know this, you're struggling with this. Do you want to spend more time working on it? In college, professors are going to assume that if you want help and if you need help, you're going to ask them for it. Nobody's required to be a college student like they are required to attend high school. And so if you are pulling a C in the class at the high school, your teacher might be like, hey, you usually do better than that. At the college, your professor might think, well, maybe they just want to get a C. Maybe that's fine for them. So be proactive, ask for help when you need it. Utilize the resources available to you. We had a number of people come tonight to talk about different resources you can access. One big resource is your professor. So all professors are required to have time available when they can meet with students to help them. If you're on campus, they have office hours in their offices. If you're an online student, they should have time when you can meet with them over Zoom. So if you have challenges in the classroom, the first place you want to start is probably going to be with your professor to figure out how you can move forward, and then maybe consider going to tutoring or accessing help from your classmates, that kind of thing. When you're interacting with your professors, what I'll say is there's going to be sometimes different ways of communicating with them than what you might have at the high school. Every new space we go into has its own cultural norms, and college is no different. And so some of these are like just standard, like if you have in-person classes, go to class and be on time. Don't be late. And if you are late, don't make it a big thing where it's like disruptive. Just go in quietly and go to class. Something that might be different for you though is unless your professor tells you otherwise, you want to refer to them as professor or doctor and their last name. So for instance, I have some math professors up here. So Dr. Stein or Professor Trudgeon. It isn't a cultural norm at the college to call people like Mr. or Mrs. unless they introduce themselves to you that way. So you'll notice I refer to your teachers at the high school as your teachers. I refer to the people who teach classes here on campus as professors. So most of your professors are going to have PhDs, which entitles them to be called doctor. Not all of them will want to be called doctor. You don't really know until they tell you how they want to be addressed. So it's safe to call people professor or doctor. You're also going to encounter some people who like to be called by their first name, which is probably also a big difference from high school. But there are professors who will encourage you to call them by their first name. So just be prepared for that. Check the syllabus for important information and see if it answers your questions. Your professors have hundreds of students, and so they are happy to assist you, but it's also helpful if it's kind of like a basic question, like, do you accept late work? That's probably in the syllabus. And the answer is probably no, by the way. But there's going to be listed there what that policy is. So check to see first if it's in the syllabus before reaching out to them about something that's kind of like a basic policy class for the question, or the policy question for the class. Do your assigned readings before class. So if you are going to be in a history class, whether it's in person or online, and they're covering chapter 3 on Wednesday, you want to read chapter 3 before Wednesday. Because this lecture that they're going to do is going to supplement what's covered in the book for chapter 3. So you want to make sure that you're reading in advance so that way you have a better understanding and foregrounding of that knowledge before your professor is doing their lecture, and that you're ready to participate in discussion, or if you have further questions based on what they've given you, that you can ask intelligent questions. If you need to miss class, let your professor know in advance. So some professors are going to have attendance policies where you're required to attend every day and you can only maybe miss once or twice. Other professors may not take attendance at all, but they will know if you're there. And if you know that you're going to be out, the courteous thing to do would be to reach out to them and let them know, hey, I have this event coming up and I'm going to have to be out of class. Is that going to be a problem? If I have work I need to turn in, can I turn it in early? Early is always going to be better than asking to turn in work late. So communicate with them. If you are playing sports or something like that, you know what that schedule is in advance. So you don't want it to be after the fact, like you have an exam on Wednesday and you had a game on Wednesday and you chose to go to your game and not address it with your professor. That's a choice that you're making, and the choice they might make is that they're not going to let you make it up. So communicate with them. Professors are human. Most of them are really, really nice and they want to support you. But they need to know what's going on. If you're sick or something like that, you can always, send an email saying, hey, I'm sick. But if this is something that you know is happening in advance, you want to make sure that you are communicating with them to make sure it's okay. This might sound kind of weird, but it's something that I hear from professors a lot. So if you miss class, don't ask if you missed something important. I was telling someone today, nobody chooses to waste their own time, right? So if your professor is putting together all this time and work for a lecture for you to talk about, you know, the War of 1812, or to talk about multivariable calculus, or whatever it is that you're doing in your class, clearly they think it's important, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it and they wouldn't be presenting it to you. And so it can kind of make people feel a little offended when you ask questions like that. Obviously they think it's important, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. So, you know, to them, yes, the answer is yes. So if you're not sure, you know, ask one of your classmates. And again, look at the syllabus. There's going to be a schedule and an outline of what you're doing. Look on Canvas to see if there's resources available, talk to a classmate, and then follow up with your professor to see if there is additional information that you can get from them. But in all your communication, you want to be polite, whether it's, again, acknowledging the work that they do, just as you'd want work that you do acknowledged. Be polite in your emails, be polite when you're talking to people, use appropriate grammar and spelling. I know a PE instructor, a PE professor who is constantly baffled. It's an online class that she teaches, and she has said, not specifically Running Start students, but in general, that they have a discussion board and that students talk like in text speak. And she doesn't understand why, because it's still a college class. She has an expectation that students are going to write at a certain level, you know, like complete sentences, appropriate spelling, appropriate grammar, that kind of thing. So make sure that you're doing that in all your communication, put your best foot forward. Use your CWU email account. Don't use your personal email account when you're emailing people. When you're emailing people, emails should have a greeting. There should be a message. There should be a closing. So it should be like, hello, Dr. Stein. I hope you're well today. I need help with yada, yada, yada. Thank you for your time, sincerely. Many professors have a lot of students, so make it easier for them by including your first and last name, including your ID number, the course subject, the title, and the section that you're in. There are some professors that are teaching maybe 4 sections of pre-calculus. So if you say I'm taking pre-calculus with you, they may not know exactly what that is. So make it easy by having your name. Here's an example email of, you know, reaching out to a professor. So, dear Professor Stein, I hope you're well. My name is Angela Rivera, ID number, and I'm a student in your Math 130-001 class that meets at 10 a.m. I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m., so I'm going to miss your class that day. I will read through the syllabus and the course materials for that day, but I'm wondering if I could also meet with you if I have any questions about the course material. Do you have any open times on your schedule for Wednesday between 3 and 5? Thank you for your time. My name, my ID number, the class that I'm in, just to make it easier for them. And I'm also going to encourage you to learn your professors' names. So that way, when you're talking with them, you're not like just calling them like, hey, you. Again, these are people who can help you later on. They can help you with letters of recommendation. They can help you with figuring out colleges you might want to go to. They can help you with opportunities. When I was in college, I got my first job working in higher education because one of my professors recommended me. I got this really awesome job in graduate school doing like oral history projects for the Forest Service because one of my professors really believed in me and made recommendations. So these are people who can help you in your life. So you want to be kind, you want to be polite, you want to have positive interactions with them so that they have a positive impression of you. And also these are people who are grading your work. So we don't want to be rude and grouchy, we want to be polite and nice to them. Think about your study skills. So something that was hard for me when I did Running Start and that I've observed with a lot of students is many Running Start students are just really good students at the high school, but it means that they haven't necessarily needed to access a lot of help before. And they didn't necessarily develop a lot of study skills because it was like, well, these classes are easy. And then you get into an environment where classes can be a little bit more challenging for you. So I want to challenge you to think about like, how do you study? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Do you need, I have on here find place without distraction, but some people actually like white noise behind them. Take notes while you're reading, review your class notes every day. My recommendation for all of you is going to be to take notes by hand from the lectures, and then that same day, type them up on a computer, and then review them at the end of the week. That will be one of the best ways for you to be able to retain the information that you're hearing in lecture classes. And when you're reading, you also want to take notes and break up your reading into chunks so that you don't have to. I remember when I was in college, I would read a chapter of chemistry, which was not really my thing. for like 2 hours. And if you asked me at the end what I learned, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything. It's much better with subjects that you struggle with to break it up into manageable chunks. Take some notes about what you learned, take a break, come back to it. Do not wait until the day you have a test to study or the day before you have a test. That is not the time to be studying. So again, take notes every day, rewrite them or type them up or whatever. There are studies that show that students retain information better when they handwrite their notes, which is why I keep saying handwrite your notes, but then being able to, again, rewrite them or type them up so that they're still legible for you later will be helpful. But this is something you want to be doing on a regular basis. And it doesn't mean you spend hours and hours and hours every day doing it, but you want to review it so that you can retain that information so that you're not trying to relearn it when you have a test. Utilize writing tutors to review drafts for your papers. You met them today. They can help you with papers, not just for English. If you're taking history, if you're taking philosophy, if you're taking something that's going to have papers in it, you can go to them for that. You can go in person. They also have options where you can submit your paper and get feedback back that way. So definitely use that, take advantage of it. You can go to the Math Center to do your homework if you're an in-person student. You can also access the online options. So, if you need help with math, make sure that you use that. There's math tutoring in the library. There's also math tutoring in Samuelson, which is where the math department is. And there's also math tutoring online through the math department and tutoring, and also through this online consortium with other tutors. So there's lots of different ways to access help if you need it in writing and math. And use your time wisely, complete your high school graduation requirements, which is why it's good if you know what those are, so we can kind of plan it out, make sure you're taking classes in an efficient way so that we're not like senior year, spring quarter, worried about getting this last requirement. Follow the general education worksheet. General education is what everybody works on, no matter what they're majoring in. Central has its own gen ed worksheet. Other colleges will have theirs, but they're really similar across institutions. In the handbook I emailed to you, there's a copy of it at the end of the handbook. I can also email that to you if you want one. But that's a good thing to work on so that you're making progress on college goals. And even if you're not sure where you want to go, because it's similar to different institutions, this will be safe for you for transferring as well. Think about what you want to major in and start planning for the future. You don't have to know right now exactly what you want to do. And you also might change your mind, but it is good to start thinking about it so that the classes that you're taking are worthwhile towards that goal and that you're not just taking stuff randomly and then later find, well, actually, I want to go into engineering and I didn't take any math classes, and that probably would have been useful for me to do while I was in college. If you are particularly for all of you, if you look at the colleges you're interested in going to, if you need to take college entrance exams, you want to make sure that you're getting those done on time. Apply for scholarships and financial aid. Pay attention to important dates at your high school and at the college. They're not always going to be the same. One big thing that can happen for students is our vacation breaks are not always the same. So most of you are back at high school already, or if you're not, you're starting tomorrow, whereas Central doesn't start school until September 25th. So we're not always on the same schedule for when we have breaks. And it's really important that you're not like going to Disneyland when we have finals, or that you're going, if you have high school classes, that you're scheduling a vacation when the high school has classes. So you want to make sure you're looking at that. There's a calendar in your handbook that has all the important dates. And other tips, if you need help, ask. For those of you who are on campus, explore campus, meet new people. I also want to emphasize for those of you who are online students, there are lots of resources online and there are ways to get connected online. There are clubs that do stuff online, who have social media, who can let people Zoom in. So there's lots of ways for you to be connected, even if you're an online student. I want to encourage you to be open to learning new things and exploring new ideas. You are going to encounter people in your classes who are going to have different views than you. You are going to encounter people who have different religious views, different political views, who may not have any of those views, who are from different cultures, from different parts of the world, from different parts of the United States. And this is a good opportunity for you to learn more about all these different options and also to learn more about yourself and your own values. So I would say be open to meeting new people and learning new things. It's okay if people disagree with you. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It makes life more interesting. Again, be gracious and respectful when you're engaging with others, no matter who they are. So, you know, be polite with your professor, be polite with your classmates. You never know when things are going to come up. Be polite to people on campus that you interact with. Be responsive and present. For those of you who are taking in-person classes, sit in the front, you know, sit in the front where you can talk to your professor and get to know them. Sit next to people, talk to people, ask questions. If you have a question, it's really likely that other people also have that question. So be brave, because everybody's nervous in fall quarter and nobody wants to talk. And you might be that brave person that makes it easier for other people to ask questions. And final kind of snarky thing, but well, not snarky, but check your email and your voicemail. Because we will be emailing you, we will be calling you if we can't reach out to you. A lot of people don't have voicemail set up. This is the snarky thing. If you have a voicemail that is unprofessional, you should probably update it. You're at college now. You are going to be possibly wanting to get a job. You might want to be like seeking out different opportunities that are professional. And so if you have one of those voicemails that's like, hello, hello, hello. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really here. People don't like that. So it's not professional. It can be frustrating for people when they encounter things like that. If you were applying for a job or something like that and they're calling you to see if you can interview, that's not going to leave a good taste in their mouth. So please set up your voicemail if you don't have it be professional, and then check it and check your email. And for parents and guardians, how can you support your students? What I would say is help your students to make sure they're not involved in too many activities at once. Something I see a lot with Running Start is we have people who, right, they're in, you know, maybe 2 classes here and 1 class at the high school or 2 classes at the high school, and there's a lot more time in the day. And there's this compulsion to like fill the time, whether it's with like a part-time job or taking on more activities. I'm not saying that that can't happen at all, but what I would say is taking on college, becoming a college student is already a big change for students. And that doesn't have to be a bad change, it doesn't have to be a scary change, but it does mean that students are going to need some time to adjust to this new environment, to these new expectations, and to this new time commitment. And so it's not great to like, you know, add on a job immediately, like get a job right now so that you know, have your time be more occupied, or to take on another sport or to take on another volunteer commitment. You know, we want people to manage their time wisely so that they don't get burnt out. Ask to see the syllabus, again, maybe make a copy of it, don't take it from them, they need it. But you know, maybe make a copy so that you know what's going on, and then check in with your students about what they're working on. So I see you have a history paper coming up. How have you started on that? What are you writing about? You know, recommend that they utilize different tutoring services and other support services. Send them to me if you aren't sure what they need help with, but you know that they do need help and we're not sure how to find it. That's what our office does. We can make referrals to all kinds of things. If I don't know, I will help to find out. Remind your students about advising and registration. We do not email parents about advising registration, but we do have social media where we do post about that. So we have Facebook, we have Instagram, so you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and let your students know, like, hey, I see advising is happening. Have you scheduled that yet? Ask to see your students' papers, be interested in what they're studying, talk to them about their assignments. And again, grades are usually available in Canvas, so you can students can view their grades there. If you want to see how they're doing, ask them to show you, because they will probably have grades in their Canvas book. Some important dates coming up. Classes are going to start on September 25th. The change of schedule period ends on October 1st. That is also when fees are due. The uncontested withdrawal deadline is November 12th. December 6th is the last day of classes, and it is the last day for hardship or complete withdrawal. But that is followed by final exams, which go from December 10th to the 13th. So please do not schedule any travel before the 13th, so that way your students aren't going to have to miss any finals. And then fall grades will be available in my CWU. It's not on here, but I can also add that we will be doing advising for winter quarter at the end of October, beginning of November. So anticipate that you'll be hearing from me about that. And that is the presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording and then too many buttons on this. There we go.